Um, my name is James Musau for Kenya Investment Authority. I'm the Director, BPO and Tech. We're glad to have you this afternoon on this BPO Tech Side event. We're sorry we started a bit late because there was another forum by COMESA which ate into our time. And therefore, just by introductory remarks, I would like to give my apologies for my CEO, John Mwendwa, who was supposed to start off this session. Is around here. We have several other side events happening, as you may have seen in the program. So apologies for my CEO. In the room this afternoon, I would like to recognize the presence and the attendance of Her Excellency, Ambassador Henriette of the European Union. Welcome, Ambassador. And we have the European delegation. We have several of you supported by D4D, Digital for Development Hub. Welcome to Nairobi. Ambassador of Kenya to Belgium. We have several ambassadors in the room. I will be getting to know. Yeah, please. The Kenyan ambassadors representing us outside the country. Welcome, all of you. Perhaps I can give you the chance to introduce them. I don't have the... Yes. Thank you, Ambassador Bitange Demo. We have been with you for long, and thank you so much for coming. In the room, we also have the CEO, Terrific, Brenda Bathy. Excellent support we have received from Terrific in terms of sponsorship and support for this forum. We thank you. We also have in the room the representative of the PS, Secretary of ICT, Mary Kerema. She will be making our own presentation and also telling us about the work. We are expecting the PS. I think she will tell us more about whether the PS is joining us or not. We have key panelists from global tech companies and local tech companies. We have James Donovan, we have Rich, we have Sven, we have several of them. All these guys are here, and it's an excellent kind of afternoon for all of us. We're expecting so much from yourselves. Just to sum up, I would like to say, why are we here? We are here this afternoon to pitch for the BPO sector, BPO and tech sector. This is a very important sector for Kenya. We are getting to realize that it has potential for creating employment opportunities for hundreds of our young people in this country. Welcome, my chair of the board. We also want to dialogue about policy and how to see the issues that can be addressed in the room, how to begin to escalate dialogue between policymakers and our investors. This is the forum for us to do that. We are also in this Kiiko event showcasing investment opportunities, and we have a publication right at the entrance on the BPO sector. You can appreciate what we have already done in terms of compiling relevant information on investment opportunities for investors. I also want to recognize also the arrival of the CEO Konza. Welcome, sir. So at this point, I would like to request, I think the presentations have been set up. We would like to have the first speaker, Brendan Bathy, CEO Traffic, to set the pace of this meeting. Thank you.
Thank you very much, James. I will stand on the protocol of what James has used, as I might forget everybody's names, but I do want to recognize the Ambassador of the European Union to Kenya, Henrietta Gega, because she's a true friend for investment for us here in Kenya. I extremely want to thank Ken Invest for hosting such a wonderful forum for all of us over the last few days. They're led here today by their chair, Sally Mahehu, and it's been a wonderful event, and as one of the sponsors, we're very happy to be associated with it. All the ambassadors in the room, and especially the ambassadors from Kenya to different jurisdictions, we're so proud of you, and we're so happy that you've come to join us today to find out what we do here in Kenya, because ultimately we're looking, especially for myself as Triffic, SEZ, we're looking to export services to different countries around the world. Not ourselves, but by providing a platform for the same. And finally, our Secretary for ICT, thank you so much for honoring us. You'll be on stage and you'll tell us a lot more. And if I never get a chance to say it, to all our friends in the BPO sector, the associations, the leaders of business and everybody who works there. A few years ago, we were not given a voice. This year we have a voice, so we have made strides. Sometimes we don't realize it every day when we're working in it, but truly I think this is a proud moment for us as we're recognized by the Kenya government as a key sector. So we thank you, all of you who've made that commitment and invested here in Kenya. My name is Brendan Bathy and I'm the CEO for Two Rivers International Finance Company, Special Economic Zone. The reason I'm speaking is, as Mr. James Musau said from Ken Invest, is I've supported the conference, so you're going to have to listen to me for a few minutes, because otherwise, you know, Ken Invest will feel like we haven't honored each other, but hopefully I'll say a few words, but really get ready for the panel. The panelists are the ones who are going to have the great nuggets, and then also the Q&A section. So let me talk to you about Triffic. As I said to you, and we heard it yesterday in the opening remarks, and Mr. Donovan, thank you. You were on the opening panel. Once again, recognition that BPOs are being recognized. The question is really not why Kenya. It's we need to now look ahead. And can we scale reliably? The next phase of BPO growth will be won by ecosystems, of which we're all involved in, that can turn our very special Kenya talent, because we keep hearing about it, that talent dividend into reliable delivery. What do we mean by our talent? We have a wonderful, skilled, English-speaking workforce. By the way, we're number 2 in Africa. We're not number 1. So who's number 1? And BPOs do not answer that question, because they're the ones who judge us. South Africa. But really, when I stand here speaking to you, do you think South Africa should take us on? You've heard us. But that's why we have to look for continuous improvement. So we also have a global service demand which is shifting, and AI is definitely playing its place, but it's not replacing, it's playing its place. And operators, especially those in the room, are looking to scale up with speed and reliability. And so we as Triffic, Konza, Tatu, Nairobi Gates, many others, and all the other SEZs and other locations are looking as to what can we do to provide the ecosystems. How do we allow them to launch fast and to go live? And this is where we need the support of KenInvest and the Kenya government. How do we allow BPOs to operate reliably? Because they operate 24 hours and they need to have the right ICT infrastructure, power, etc. So we need great infrastructure and uptime. And they like to have all that infrastructure that should be readily available, made available to them. They don't come into this country to do the infrastructure. And then how can we support them to attract and retain talent? And again, it goes to our education system. I told you we're number 2. When we come to the next KenInvest forum, let's be number 1. And I think Mr. Beardsley will be giving us some statistics maybe later, which also showcase that we're getting better year by year. And guess what? Not only are we getting better, we are now being measured. A few years ago, we weren't even on the scale of being measured. Ladies and gentlemen, let's also know all these small little bits of improvement. And then how can we collectively expand with confidence to create the right infrastructure, the right enabling systems so that we can expand with confidence? Yesterday we heard statistics, I think it was from you, Mr. Donovan, about the quantum. You guys, this particular industry, services industry, I agree it's not manufacturing, it's not mining, it's not agriculture, it's not floriculture, but guess what? It's actually contributing larger than any of those to Kenya's GDP as we speak. And if we benchmark ourselves across the rest of the world and see it's not billions of dollars of business, it's trillions of dollars of business, and we just want our small share. So the bottleneck is not the talent supply, we have the people. It's the ability to convert what we have into real operating performance. And how can we do this? So I'm going to talk a bit, as I told you I need to, about Triffic. So we do this at our ecosystem because, yes, we are very fortunate to be a services special economic zone. We are at the Two Rivers ecosystem, so we're actually in Nairobi's blue diplomatic zone. So guess what, ladies and gentlemen, now you know who I am. You're very welcome to visit. It's not far. And let's show you what we have to offer. We have a 64-acre master plan for the special economic zone, and we have 800,000 square meters of approved office space that we are going to be developing. We're a member of the WAIFC, that's the World Alliance of International Finance Centers. We were the first members from Kenya. And indeed, within our ecosystem, we truly offer that live, work, play environment. We have residential, we have the Two Rivers Mall, we have the only Ferris wheel in Eastern Central Africa. So you have restaurants, we have pickleball, not paddle. So we're quite unique in different things we offer. We have a 4D cinema, not 3D cinema. So we actually have a lot of things for people to come and see. We also have a go-kart track. So, you know, not only can they come and do their work, they can come and play. But more importantly, you get the incentives, the strategic incentives for working within a special economic zone. We support you with all the licensing ease. We have very resilient utilities. We have the largest installed solar plant in Nairobi County. We offer 99.99% uptime for ICT. I had to leave out that little percent because Sven's in the room and he's my tenant. And then we also offer green infrastructure support. So we truly give you that reliable setup for operations. When you look at special economic zones, they actually do offer what we would call lower friction for people to set up. For those in the back who have just come in, there are some seats in some of these rows, and I'd invite you to come and just look for the spare seats. Thank you. We also then, through these incentives, allow the companies to operate more competitively when they're working against other people on the world stage, allows them to have stronger margins and faster payback. I'm just going to show you, that's the list of all the incentives you get within a special economic zone, and then those that you would get if you operate outside a special economic zone. Now, we heard yesterday about the wonderful Ken Invest one-stop shop, and then they told us it's one stop, so you go there to do one stop. But when you come to Triffic, we do the one stop for you. We go and work through all the government regulatory frameworks to get you your licensing, your permits, and allow you to be onboarded, and then also ensure your compliance as you work through this framework. We give you access to government, regulators, and key decision makers. We make your pain points our pain points, and we work together on this. We represent all your interests when you're in the zone to strengthen our operating environment. And indeed, this morning, we spent the whole morning at the regulator, CESA, working on different items on an upcoming bill. We then offer thought leadership and insights. One of the reasons we sponsored this event was to allow people to have access to great thought leadership and insights into this ecosystem. And so today, as I told you, the panel will give you a lot. We then allow for networking and collaboration within our ecosystem, and those who operate there tend to have very good relationships with one another and supporting one another, and they have their own private forums and events. I've spoken to you a little about our ecosystem. We have very good green power. We have smart water systems. All our buildings are IFC EDGE certified, and we've committed to keeping 30% of our space green. Now, I also want to tell you that we're not just a concept, so you're not just coming to see, does it happen? Today, you're going to see on stage the largest BPO in the world, Teleperformance, who have chosen Triffic to be their home here in Kenya. Indeed, our North Tower is now 100% occupied with 30 tenants. We then have the Victoria Tower, which we've just made a special economic zone, and it is now fully reserved. And now we're looking to establish a new tower, 16th floor, called the Twin Tower in this vicinity. So basically, what we have, we are showing you what it takes to build and to scale. That's what BPOs do. They continue to scale, they continue to expand, and they need the infrastructure. So that's why we say we're not just built for today, we're built for what's next. And indeed, when those who come and speak after me speak, listen to them. They're speaking about what's next for Kenya and that great talent dividend and what we can do about it. This sector provides meaningful jobs, not to thousands. Potential is hundreds of thousands, going even to millions. So we need to work together to make this a reality, and we're truly on that journey. I want to thank you so much for taking the time to listen to me, and I hope it wasn't that boring, and you learned something new. Thank you. I think after me, I am going to ask Mr. John Beardsley to come and take the stage. John comes with a lot of statistics. Please listen to him. It will be enjoyable.
Where do I point this thing? Okay, good. All right, good afternoon. Allow me to stand on the previous protocols observed. My name is John Beardsley. I'm known as JB in the sector. I've been here about 10 years, first as an operator with Cloud Factory, and I'm currently head of digital livelihoods at Genesis Analytics. And I also have been incubating with a lot of the good people that you'll meet on the panel, the Outsourcing Alliance of Kenya, which is a super important organization in that it's looking to do what India and what South Africa and many before us have done, which is to coordinate the ecosystem. One of the super important things about coordinating the ecosystem, right, is policy for sure, but also defining your value proposition. And to do that, you need data, as we say in Kenya, not data. So what are we talking about when we talk about BPO? BPO is actually a subsector of the global business services space. When people think about BPO, they usually think about call centers. The space has evolved dramatically from just call centers. Even call centers are now these hubs of omni-channel customer support, right? Where you're supporting Uber or Glovo or Marriott or whoever you're supporting. India currently captures, well, let's just talk about Asia. Asia captures about 400 billion of this sector. As I'll show you in a minute, Kenya only captures about $700 or $800 million currently, right? And the supply in Africa is taking up about 3% versus Asia, which is 33%. So we're gonna look to change that. So one of the problems with attracting business to Kenya historically, although it's the times are changing, is that, as Brenda mentioned, when people think about Africa, they think about South Africa. And if they don't think about South Africa, they think about Egypt. And if they're Francophone, they think about Morocco. And if they've already in Morocco, they think about Senegal. So it's imperative that, but South Africa is saturated. It's extremely saturated. You can, in Western Cape, you can walk from one BPO to the other. People are hopping jobs and this kind of thing. Kenya has this enormous amount of talent, specifically in Nairobi County. I would point that out, although there's some interesting things going on in Nyeri as well. That's untapped. Our statistics show that if large CX, that's customer experience, operators came in, they could hire 16,000 young people each month that are already ready, right? So when we think about where things are going, language has become incredibly important. Within the Common European Framework of Languages, you have these different levels. C2 is the highest. Kenya scores extremely high on C2 level English. And when AI is already speaking C2 to us, we have to speak C2 back to it. So when we're advising training programs and all of that. The other thing I'll say about Kenya that's interesting is we're the hub of human-in-the-loop AI services with Sama, and where I used to work previously, Cloud Factory, with Hugo and others. It's incredibly strong, and I think it's the absolute number one in that. So the sector today, these numbers change all the time, right? Because I could tell you four GBS or BPO companies that are circling the runway right now, and Brenda probably knows a few that I don't know because she has her pipeline. But this is generally where it is. Soon you're going to see the international number of workers go ahead of the domestic, right? We see this in every single. We're not reinventing the wheel, right? What happened in South Africa will happen here. South Africa went from 10,000 people to 250,000 people. How did they do it? They did it with data. They did it by public-private partnerships. They brought everybody together in the same room, and they held each other accountable for growth numbers, right? And it can't just be about BPO. It has to be about, what are you talking about? Are you talking about with Tana? Are you talking about project managers? With Teleperformance, are you talking about customer experience? With Cloud Factory, are you talking about AI data, human in the loop? What are you talking about? What is the projection? We have all those figures, right? And if you don't do that, what you end up is with these sort of myopic discussions about, we have all this talent. Well, everybody's talking about talent. Ethiopia, Ghana, you name it. We have to get specific, and we have to come together as a sector, and part of that is really nailing the numbers. I won't go through all of this. We'll be here all day. But infrastructure and business environment, what Terrific is bringing to the table, as you can see, is, and we're trying to look at this from a, from an unbiased perspective, is weak. If you talk to Marshall, who used to work at Accenture, who worked with Batengi and Demo back in the day with KenCall, people have been trying to stimulate BPO for a long, long time. And part of the issue is that we haven't had the buildings and the infrastructure. I think with Tatu City, with Terrific, and also with virtual models, it increased. Obviously, we have a lot of fiber that's been laid between 2007 and now as well. We're doing a lot better. But it's tough to compete with India. But the reality is that we don't really have to compete with India. We can be India plus one, right? We can be India plus one. We can be the first choice after India. And that's the way that a lot of businesses are looking at Kenya. And that's the way that we have to tailor our pitch, right? Because I'll show you some costs, competitive costs across countries. And India's tough. It's still cheaper, and yes, the AI is softening the accent of Indian, CX agents and making it more neutral. But people generally want to talk to Kenyans. If you talk to Rishi, ask him about stories of Fortune 500 companies in the U.S. and clients saying, "I didn't even know they were in Kenya," right? The companies that are being serviced out of Kenya are world-class, and we have world-class operations already. It's just a question of how do we start that domino effect? How do we go from 40,000 people in the sector to 120,000? And honestly, we could do that in 2-3 years if we just get our what together. Okay, so I won't spend a lot of time on this because it's very data rich, but Egypt and Ethiopia and Nigeria and others are cheaper, right? But cost is not the main driver anymore. It's really about the total package, right? How professional is your workforce? What's the geopolitical environment? And again, if you look at this is not all the same. This is not all the same kind of company, right? So we have Alewa, and who's going to be on the panel later. He's really concerned with what AI is doing to software development, right? There are others who are very concerned with what AI is doing with sentiment analysis. But you can see that Kenya is cheaper than South Africa, and that does matter. But what really matters is the overall cost to serve, right? This is really about salaries, but if we can get incentives in place and lower the overall cost to serve. So when I talk to Kunal at McKinsey, or when I talk to, I have the pleasure of meeting with PS Tanui or the PS of Labor, it's about cost to serve, right? You have to bring down that cost, because the reality is that people do not. You may talk to a charismatic CEO and they may say, "Hey, I love Diani, I love Kenya, right? I'm coming." But they're not the ones that make the decision. It's the CFO in the back room who's crunching the numbers on cost to serve. This is the last slide, and then I'll turn back over. So these numbers might not be as exciting as going around and saying we're going to create 1 million jobs, right? Everybody says 1 million jobs. Even at Cloud Factory, that was our goal. We probably created about 20,000, and that's a big deal. But this is the reality that we live in, right? Which is, these are international jobs. Today we're at about 15,000. The people on the panel and people in this room represent 95% of those international jobs. I'm talking about global digital jobs. Jobs that pay 3-4x, right? What a domestic debt collector or whatever would be paid. So we're talking about entry level at $400 a month versus $125. Entry level, right? And very clear pathways to $3,000-$4,000. We think with incentives and regulations, and trust me, we have those recommendations down, and they've been circulated. But also Kenya has this unique recipe of, it's like a nexus of philanthropic funders like MasterCard Foundation, Gatsby Africa, GIZ, EU, all very active. I could go on and on about all these funders. And then you have this startup community, right? And then now you have GBS. And so we have the ability to invest in a very smart way, which these days means don't just skill, right? Talk to the private sector about what they need in a year, right? And do that every quarter. Demand-led skilling. If you're going to skill, do demand-led skilling. And if you're going to build facilities, make sure you know what's going on in Manila and Bangalore, right? So this is not a zero-sum game, but Kenya has the ability. It's the second fastest growing GBS destination on the continent, or BPO destination, and soon to be the first, if we have anything to do with it. So thank you.
Excellent so far from Jonathan and Brenda. The statistics are there for you. Applause. Okay, the next speaker will be the Secretary for Trademark Africa. Mary, IT specialist and leader in the sector for over 25 years. She currently spearheads ICT reforms in the country. She's the head of the digital program transformation in this country. Mary Kirema, please.
A lot of consultations, collaboration, because you cannot do it alone. The ambassador of the European Union to Kenya, Excellency Henrietta Gig. The CEO to Rivers, a very exciting presentation. I would love to visit you. I think I've made a date. The CEO Konza, the chair lady of Ken Invest, other excellencies in the room, all the panelists representing the global and local tech companies, my friends sitting in the first row, very excited to see you again, investors, our development partners, invited guests, good afternoon. Good afternoon once again. This afternoon I'm wearing several hats. I hope the hats will not weigh me down, but I think I'm up to the task. So I'm here to really first represent my peers who was not able to be here. I would have really loved to be here. But he traveled to Mombasa, and you know what is happening. So he was not able to catch a flight to be here in good time. So for now, I really want to thank the presenters before me. They have pitched Kenya enough. But nevertheless, I'll have to do the presentation that my PS was supposed to do. And I want to start by saying, if you own a company, you don't have the Kenyan talent, your growth is limited. So please, make sure you have a Kenyan working for you. And for sure, growth will be sure. So therefore, for now, I want to pitch why Kenya. And for me, Kenya has been the African premier investment destination. And why? It's because Kenya has been rated #1, greatest investment momentum in Africa in 2024, where we have the highest ChatGPT use, 42% globally, as of July 2025. Has been rated #2 for funding to startups in Africa. Over 338 million in 2024. It has been rated number 3, ease of doing business in sub-Saharan Africa. Number 4, women's financial and economic inclusion in Africa. And lastly, it is the largest economy in Africa. So really, Kenya positions itself because it has been shown that it is the fastest growing and most stable democracies with 4.2% per annum GDP. Growth over the last 25 years, 95% youth literacy, 95% green power, grid, and 100% mobile penetration. What a country to invest in. Kenya is the place to be. And the Kenya value proposition is that Kenya has offered our investors a gateway to Africa and beyond. It creates linkages to the Pan-African market with over 1.3 billion population and more than 3 trillion GDP. This is preferential access to global markets, 40 plus bilateral trade agreements, and 15 doubled tax treaties. It also offers green-powered growth, where we have more than 90% renewable power generation, increase of 50% from stable, low-cost geothermal. And on track or fully renewed grid by 2030. That is our focus. Trainable. Mark that word. I visited CCI one time. And, you know, he gets young people who are speaking almost their local language. But in a week, in a month, they are speaking like they have been in the US. So mark that word, trainable. So it doesn't matter what you have in your company. Be sure. Get a Kenyan, they'll be better than even the people you have in your office. So we have trainable and productive workforce, 80% literacy, strong schooling system, and robust tertiary and vocational training. 70% of the population working age, providing large and growing labor pool. Investor-friendly ecosystem. Comprehensive investor protection, including 100% profits repatriation, streamlined investment facilitation, process through the Invest Kenya 140 plus economic zones with incentives for investors, corporate tax holidays, exercise duty, exemptions, 100% capex allowances. And I know we are pursuing a lot through the BPOs. And I love the resilience. The BPO sector is not a joke. Yesterday I was telling other sectors, please knock the right doors. Because BPO sector knocked the right doors. And we are seeing a lot going around, even policy, around incentives, and this is what we want. And lastly, we have a supportive government and business environment. And this, we have pro-business government focused on fiscal stability, infrastructure, private sector growth, collaboration, open door policy. Government has really opened doors for all our investors. Kenya has a vibrant startup ecosystem, which is the engine of innovation. We have more than 400 active startups across Kenya, highest in East Africa. We have more than 100,000 individuals employed by local startups. We have 74 private hubs and accelerators, of which 45 are based in Nairobi. We have more than $600 million virtual VC funding attracting local startups in 2024, the highest in Africa. We have 18% women-funded startups with at least one woman founder, and we have 29 university hubs and accelerators, of which 11 are based in Nairobi. And government is not left behind. We are putting up 1,450 digital hubs in every ward. And this is really, thank you. We are calling upon our private sector partners. Utilize these digital hubs. They are there for you, well-equipped, connected. Just come in, train, skill people according to your requirement, and tap and give them jobs. So our government is doing a lot, but I know if we partner together, we can go far. So Kenya presents a range of invisible opportunities in the tech sector. One is the global BPO and GCC destination. Number two is the 2 to 3 government data center region and AI engine. Come invest in data centers. We have electronic devices assembly and components manufacturing. Please come, open companies to manufacture these raw tools that we require to put in our ecosystem. We have growth capital and incubator platform for X-Tech scale-ups, and we have 80% plus broadband connectivity across Kenya. And we are doing a lot. 100,000 kilometers of fiber is yet to come. You can see Kenya is becoming more connected and more available. The ecosystem is so ready for our investors. Please come in and invest. So Kenya's unique proposition for BPO delivery, because that is our topic today. One, we have established ecosystem where Kenya is one of the Africa's fastest growing BPO hubs with 40,000 workers and growing at 20% per annum. We have established operators, e.g. CCI, Teleperformance, Summersource. Please, more, come. We are ready. We are ready for you. The second is competitive labor costs. Skilled labor is more affordable versus leading destinations. Also, we have young and trainable, already I've said, workforce with diverse capabilities. Over 2 million young tech-savvy and trained workforce. We have 640,000 addressable workforce proficient in B2 English, ranked 19th of the 116 globally for English proficiency. Strong foundation in customer care and growing capabilities in other functions. And lastly, a robust and enabling ecosystem. GDPR alignment in data laws, pursuing first EU data adequacy status in Africa, 140 plus economic zones with incentives, and more are coming. I know we've not met 100% of the incentives, but it is coming. We are even looking forward to zeroizing the tax. I know South Africa is ahead of us, but we will jump frog and be ahead 2 times, yes? And then we have strategic time zone and easy access to international markets with robust connectivity, and of course, a steady pipeline for skilled professionals. So lastly, I want to pitch why Nairobi. Nairobi is the 3rd most attractive city in Africa for businesses and investors, because we have seamless connectivity, regional transport and business hub, anchored by Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, and a well-developed road network that enables seamless connectivity. We have a cosmopolitan lifestyle. Nairobi offers vibrant cosmopolitan lifestyle, blending modern business hubs with vibrant social and cultural sceneries. And I think Nairobi becomes the benchmark to push this to the other counties. So what works in Nairobi will for surely work in other counties. And lastly, it's the world class. It has world-class hotels and conference infrastructure, and I think you're already enjoying one of them. So lastly, I want to finish by saying Kenya is strengthening its position as a competitive destination for BPO and GCC operations, and this is through our special economic zones and the export processing zones frameworks. Kenya offers practical and accessible opportunities for investors to expand, innovate, and succeed. And this is by, we have reduced corporate income tax from 30 to 10%, and I've said we are moving to 0 so that you can really thrive. Allow access to one-stop shop for streamlined work permit processing, because currently you are going to different offices. We want one-stop shop. And we want you to do it at your doorstep. You don't have even to visit that one-stop shop. Then we want to support lower operating costs through case-specific power tariffs, discounting. Then we want to offer location flexibility through building level EPCZ qualifications. And this is the conversations we were having. You are all BPOs, you don't want to set in one place. So can we have regulations that even if you set it in your house, we can define that as a special economic zone? Yeah? You don't have really to come to there where everybody is putting their business. So that is where we are moving to. I'm telling you, BPO is gonna thrive in this country. Yeah? So the Kenya Ministry of Information and Communication and Digital Economy will release a set of simple guidelines to ensure all eligible businesses in Kenya are able to access these benefits. So be with us as we are moving. Grow with us as we are growing you, and collaborate with us, because government alone can never do it. Thank you very much. And so really looking forward to have most of the BPOs in my office so that we can scale this up. Yes? Yeah, we want to be the trailblazers in the entire Africa and even globally. Who said we can't be a global country to contend with, right? If we get it right, give the right incentives, I think we can move mountains. So I want to move to the next session. I said I'm wearing very many hats, to just give a few remarks from my CS, the cabinet secretary. Also he really wanted to be here, but he traveled yesterday. So I'm here to give his remarks, and then we'll move to the next level. So I wear the hat of the CS, and he says it's really a pleasure for him to have been invited to this occasion or to this summit, because the conversations that we are having here are going to advance Kenya as the Africa digital destination and business process outsourcing hub. And as His Excellency the President underscored during the opening of this conference, Kenya is positioning itself as a platform through which the world can access opportunities. This gathering is therefore a platform for investment, partnerships, and practical outcomes. Our approach to the digital economy is deliberate, and it is anchored in jobs, enterprise growth, and global competitiveness. Globally, we are witnessing a fundamental shift in how work is organized and delivered. The rapid materialization of digital technologies has made work increasingly distributed, borderless, and service-driven. In response, Kenya is transitioning from a traditionally structured economy towards a dynamic service-oriented digital economy. Our ambition is very clear: to position Kenya alongside leading global outsourcing destinations such as India and Philippines, and to establish ourselves as a reliable and competitive hub for global digital services. This ambition is supported by strong fundamentals. Kenya remains one of the most digitally advanced economies in Africa, with over 78 million mobile subscriptions, a penetration rate exceeding 149%, and more than 60 million mobile data users. Mobile money continues to underpin everyday economic activity, while growing smartphone adoption is expanding access to digital services. These are not abstract figures. They reflect a digitally enabled population that provides a solid foundation for a scalable and competitive workforce. We invite partners to invest in delivery centers, digital platforms, AI-enabled services, and talent development. The opportunity is immediate and the ecosystem is ready. Let this forum move us from pipeline to placement, from skills to scale, and from interest to investment. In closing, Kenya has established the key foundations required for competitive digital economy. We have the infrastructure, a capable workforce, and a supportive policy framework. The focus now is on scaling this into tangible outcomes, jobs, investment, and increased participation in global markets. As His Excellency the President emphasized, Kenya is building a future anchored in opportunities. Kenya has also adopted a coordinated whole-of-government approach to the development of the BPO and digital work sector. This is jointly led by the Ministry of ICT and Ministry of Labor, recognizing the need to align infrastructure, skills, and labor frameworks. The National BPO Council and a dedicated coordination office provides a clear interface for investors and ensure that the sector growth remains structured and predictable. We are strengthening the policy and regulatory environment to support this growth. This includes finalizing the PPO and ITES policy, developing frameworks for digital labor, and maintaining strong standards in data protection and cybersecurity. These measures are essential in building trust and confidence among international clients and investors. In this context, the policy direction outlined by His Excellency the President further reinforces Kenya's competitiveness. The removal of the 30% domestic equity requirement for ICT companies opens the sector to greater foreign participation and unlocks new investments. The ongoing digitalization of the one-stop investment center will by 2026 enable investors to complete, at the end of the 2026, enable investors to complete licensing processes online, reducing administrative costs and improving efficiency, which I've already emphasized. So therefore, ladies and gentlemen, I want to really say that the global PPO market is valued at approximately $1 trillion, and even modest share of this market has the potential to create substantial employment and generate export earnings. Our priority is therefore to accelerate the private sector participation, deepen partnerships, and ensure that our young people are able to translate skills into sustainable income. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your time and attention to this very important topic. We've made a lot of progress, and therefore, we are looking forward to move further. And be assured, miss a Kenyan talent, you miss growth. So please ensure you have the Kenyan talent. Thank you very much. And therefore, I take this singular honor to invite Her Excellency Harriet Geiger for her comments. Thank you.
Dear Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, all protocols observed, let me speak a little bit from the European perspective and how we see the chances of Kenya as BPO. From a European perspective, Kenya's positioning is unique. It's true. Compared to India, Kenya does not offer the same scale, but it offers a closer time zone. That is critical. This is aligning automatically with Europe, and you have also very good connections, air connections. Strong English proficiency, dynamic, digitally savvy, youthful workforce. And it's no secret that we are competing here with Eastern Europe. That has been traditionally the nearshoring partner in Europe. But that is a different dynamic altogether. Countries in Eastern Europe offer proximity, regulatory alignment, which is very key, and deep technical expertise, which is also growing here. But their disadvantage is rising labor costs and growing skills shortage, because the countries in Eastern Europe are also aging. So Kenya is coming up, Eastern Europe is going down, and Asia is staying where it is. So I think from a European perspective, Kenya can offer a complementary value proposition. Competitive cost base, growing ICT workforce, and the ability to scale talent over time. So I think for Europe, Eastern Europe as a BPO will not completely disappear. Asia will not completely disappear, but we can increasingly outsource to Kenya. And this is a very big opportunity. Now, the road to competitiveness for Kenya, to seize fully this opportunity, we see that several steps are needed. First, scale matters. Kenya this is a structural gap across sectors and regions, and a unique opportunity for Kenya. Of course, you know that Kenya already has legal labor migration agreements with Germany and Austria. So this will only increase in the future. So Kenya can offer more than 300,000 ICT professionals, a workforce growing at more than 8%, almost 9% per year. And I'm not even talking about the English level proficiency with over 500,000 people. Other speakers did that already. But For European companies, this combination is highly attractive, almost irresistible, particularly when coupled with the time zone proximity. This enables real-time collaboration and integration into European teams. So for Kenya, this requires continued investment in advanced digital skills, industry-led training models, and stronger links between education and market demand. The EU just launched, together with the CS Education, a huge project to digitize the entire TVET sector, to give the TVET sector the facelift and to move it into the 21st century, because that's what you need to drive that economy. Third, you need trust and standards. This is becoming a decisive sector. For European companies, outsourcing decisions are no longer based on cost alone. They depend on reliability, data protection, adequate cybersecurity of infrastructure, and regulatory alignment. And here I have very good news. The EU is in the process of having an adequacy decision for Kenya. That means a certification that the Kenyan data privacy protection is at the same level as the EU. We hope to get it this year. What does it mean? It means that Kenya, in data terms, is like a part of the EU. So there can be unhindered data flows from the EU to Kenya, and that will give a huge boost to BPO. And that, coupled with our economic partnership agreement, which is giving free access to the European market for Kenyan products, and the perspective to expand it to a services agreement, the sky is the limit of what we can do together. But Kenya should continue to advance its data protection framework. This is very key. And strengthening the alignment with European standards. Fourth, visibility and positioning of Kenya has to improve. So you have to forcefully go out there and make propaganda. What you're doing here in the Kenyan space, you have to bring on the global scene. So let's say this is the dress rehearsal for the wedding. Fifth and finally, we must not overlook the importance of mid-sized and specialized IT outsourcing partnerships. Not only looking at the big ones, also in smaller, highly skilled teams, delivering very targeted and specialized IT services, co-developing products, building long-term partnerships with European firms. This is something that can drive growth in a big way. One thing that I very much welcomed is that Kenya opened a digital nomad visa. This is a great way to bring ICT professionals here to Kenya and build it into a real global hub. Now, in the spirit of partnership, what can the EU do for Kenya? I think we can commit on 4 points as part of our broad EU tech business offer to Kenya. First, we are ready to support the government of Kenya, BPO operators, and the ecosystem to put Kenya on the map as BPO destination in Europe. Second, we are accelerating the EU-Kenya adequacy dialogue, which I told you about, to reach this adequacy decision for an integrated data market. Third, we are investing in advanced digital skilling. I was just telling you about the whole TVET sector. That will revolutionize all the TVET careers. Fourth, the EU and German-funded Digital Transformation Center, the BPO policy of Kenya, to further improve the business environment and competitiveness of Kenya's BPO sector. This is our promise, and Kenya to the front. Asanteni sana.
Thank you so much to Her Excellency Ambassador and every other previous speaker. At this point, I would like to invite Kuna Lotia. Kuna Lotia is with McKinsey Consulting, is Chief Manager. And Kuna has extensive research done in the BPO sector to lead the next session of the panel discussions and to introduce the panelists. Welcome, Kuna.
Thank you, Mr. James. I'll just introduce the panel as they set up. Okay. Kenya's tech and outsourcing sector is already creating jobs. We've seen that already. It's attracting investment. We've heard about that. But its full story isn't being told. Good afternoon again, everyone. I'm Kunal Lotia. I'm a manager with McKinsey & Company. And it's a real privilege to moderate this conversation that we're going to have with some of the leaders, some of the movers and shakers who are shaping Kenya's tech and outsourcing sector. At McKinsey, we spend a lot of time looking into the BPO opportunity and potential for Kenya. What are the challenges? What will it take to unlock growth and create meaningful jobs for the Kenyan youth? Across all of the findings that we've also heard here today, one thing was clear, that despite already employing about 36 to 40,000 Kenyans, this sector is too often underestimated, both at home and at the global stage. And the ambassador just spoke about this, where she said that, brand Kenya overseas needs to be built up, right? That is why today's discussion matters. We have on this panel, and I'll have the privilege of introducing them, an exceptional group of operators, investors, policymakers, and ecosystem leaders. My goal would be to draw out their insights, get beyond the headlines, and help us answer three questions. One, where the sector stands today, building on everything that we've heard from today's speakers. Number two, what is needed to accelerate growth? And number three, what will it take for Kenya to truly realize its potential? And what are we putting our hand up for today to take forward after this discussion? And to our audience, this panel is really for you. I hope that at the end of this session, you have clear takeaways, clear next steps on where the sector is heading. You have a stronger shared view of where the sector can get to. And at the end, I'd love for you to engage with us, to ask us questions, to engage this panel with the questions that you have, such that we have a rounded discussion. On the panel, and I'll invite the panel, and feel free to come up and take your seats. We have 7 incredible leaders. Number 1 is Secretary Mary Karema. We already, Mr. Musa already introduced her, but she sits at the center of Kenya's digital transformation agenda. She's the Secretary of ICT, Digital Economy and Emerging Technologies Directorate, and she will bring a lens over here on what the public sector is thinking, right? How can the reform and systems translate into scaled investments in Kenya? Second, we have Mr. James Don, who is the co-founder and CEO of ADEC Innovations, a global business services company. And for those who were here yesterday, ADEC announced a $10 million knowledge process outsourcing KPO facility in Kenya that's expected to create jobs, 2,000 seats. James will bring his perspective as a global investor who's already invested in Kenya and is scaling operations here. Third, we have Rishi Chaitanya. Rishi is the CEO at CCI Kenya, which is part of CCI Group. CCI Kenya is a leading BPO provider in Kenya, and Rishi is a seasoned executive in this space here. He has deep operational expertise and understands what it takes to succeed here, and he'll bring that perspective about what it really takes to grow this sector. We have Sven Dekata. Sven is the COO for Teleperformance, one of the largest BPO providers in the world. He looks after Kenya, Nigeria, and Rwanda, and understands what it takes to succeed across different markets and what Kenya has as its winning edge compared to our regional peers. We have Yonte Rozil, I hope I'm saying it right. Yonte is the founder and CEO of Elewa, a Nairobi-based technology provider that serves clients across Europe and Africa. They work on digital products, ERP development services, and will bring a perspective of how the European market views Kenya as a destination in terms of talent, as well as the broader data and digital ecosystem. We have Mercy Magure, who is the chairperson of BPOK. She's also the CEO and founder of Adept Technologies, a local BPO provider. And she brings a dual voice on where the sector is heading as a founder as well as a local ecosystem champion. And the best for last, I think, we have Snehar Shah, who is the CEO of IX Africa, Kenya, East Africa's first and largest hyperscale carrier-neutral AI-ready data center. Naturally, if you want to scale outsourcing, you need to have reliable and secure connectivity infrastructure. And Snehal will bring a perspective of where Kenya is today and where it's heading next with that. And with that, that is our panel. One more round of applause before we get in. Good. Working? Thank you. Now, before we start, to get us warmed up, we have a big panel here, and it's also after lunch. To make sure that the mics are working, I want everyone on the panel, this was not in the prep that I sent you, to give me one word that comes to mind when you think about the future of Kenya's BPO sector. Just one word.
Mine will be hopeful.
Hopeful?
One word, but two: high-tech.
Success.
Exciting.
Impactful.
Scalable.
Cloud-based.
Okay. Amazing. Great. And with that, why don't we get us started? I have a few themes that I want to run the panel through. We will collect audience questions at the end, and we can direct them to anyone that you want to answer them. So for the first one, and in no particular order, James. Sorry, I hope all the mics are working. So the first question's for James. James, what differentiates Kenya in ADEC's global delivery network, and why are you doubling down here?
Thank you. Test 1, 2. Okay. First of all, it's an honor to be here. 13 years ago, we were blessed to start here in Kenya, and without being trite, you've already heard all the stories, but Kenya had us at hello. Kenya has not only the capability, but there's an ecosystem here where the word I used was impactful. There are more things going on, not only as a center for NGOs, the center of UN, higher level work that is actually being done by Kenya for many, many years. The BPO is just the next layer of connecting it, digitizing it, and I guess scaling it to the world. So what brought us here? Yes, we had ongoing projects with the UN, impactful work tied up with sort of delivering, across to the SDGs. But what we saw was the capability to deliver some of those services from Kenya and then starting to scale it to an international community. And that's really what got us hooked. And it's, we're 13 years young here and looking forward to many more years to come.
Amazing. Thank you. Rishi, over to you next. CCO has continued to invest in Kenya, similar to what Attic is doing now. On the ground, and as we say in Kenya, kwa ground, we hear that their expectations of your third, fourth, and fifth site, maybe more, right? What gives you the confidence to continue investing here, building on what James has said?
Yeah, I think a lot of rumors fly around about the third, fourth, or fifth site, but yeah, there is a third site coming along. And first of all, I'd like to thank Madam Mary and Brenda. I think you both answered this question for me really, really well about why Kenya and why we should have confidence in terms of expanding in the workforce. But I think I want to touch on one or two more areas. So we talk about, the connectivity, we talk about the talent pool, but I always talk about a deep, youthful, charismatic talent pool. And the reason I talk about charismatic is we've all been mentioning AI, right? And what we've seen in our world is that the type of interactions coming into our center are far more emotional and far more complex. So when customers want humans, they want to ensure they're having that human touch. If they wanted to speak to a robot, they'd go down the AI route. But what it does mean is the expectations from a client and an expectation from the customer is far higher than what it was before. And I think where Kenya really positions itself is the level of charisma it has, right? The difference between a regular interaction and a wow interaction is he or she's ability to bring that natural charisma in a call, to show that empathy, to show that understanding, to bring out that emotion, which I think is really, really critical. And I think when you look at Kenya from that perspective, I'm really excited by what we could achieve simply based on the natural charisma that our agents have. The second point I wanted to bring up was government support. And the reason I say that is because to move forward in Africa, partnerships are so critical. And I think to be in a country, we were at a conference last week with a few of you in Elevate in Addis in Ethiopia at one of our locations. And one of the MCs made a point to say, I've never seen a BPO location opened up by a president of a country, apart from when I came to Kenya. And I think that's really, really critical for us to have government support at all levels. We've spoken about incentives, we've spoken about other initiatives that we're trying to do. And again, without that partnership process or without that voice to listen to, you will never move forward. So I think another point that really gives me that confidence is the level of partnership we have, not only with the private sector, but also with the government.
Amazing. We'll come back and touch on both of those again, right? Both about talent as well as about regulation. I want to unpack the fundamentals that we have as a sector a little bit more. Yonte, Kenya is often seen as a CX destination. In fact, some stats saying there's about 80-90% of our work is within CX call centers, right? Naturally, everything has been spoken about over here. It's because of our English-speaking pool, the neutral accent, and our soft skills. But what other segments do you see that are emerging very strongly that are above and beyond CX?
Thank you, because that is exactly the sector that I'm in. And I also want to echo what the ambassador of the European Union to Kenya has said. Don't forget the smaller but very high-tech players. We have very strong tech talent here in Kenya that is also doing already. This is not something for the future. This is something that's happening now. Basically building cutting-edge startups over in Europe. I founded and represent a company called Elewa. And what we do is basically we build for startups and SMEs that typically we have founders that have 5, 15, 20 years of experience in a certain segment, identify an innovation in which they can really build a technological product. And these are European founders. But we can't find the tech talent in Europe anymore. When we find them, they are prohibitively expensive. So the smaller players that are trying to start a new business, that are starting to, that want to really try out and innovate their ID, it's very hard for them to find a good partner that can service them. So what you find is that here in Kenya, you have the talent that can think along with these customers. What are you trying to build? What would it look like in terms of a product, can scope that out, so that can give the confidence to these investors in Europe then, this investors building even for the European market, that we can do it at this budget and at top grade quality, and that can then also do it. And they can't only do it, bring those companies into the market, they can also support them along their journey from starting out, getting into the market, getting that first scary customer feedback, iterating on it until you reach a certain point where you can scale. Kenya has the potential to deliver that, to journey alongside on that, and to meet any of your scaling demands once you've hit that mark.
Amazing. James, I managed to catch you outside right before the start of this session. You mentioned things along the same lines, but with different segments. What is your experience? What kind of services are you bringing out to the world out of Kenya?
First, everyone thinks BPO is call center, and it is a large portion of the space. We grew up in the non-voice side, which covers everything from financial to HR to analytics to health. Generally speaking, global business services has more of an accounting focus and then the everything else. I can only tell you that I really believe Kenya has a unique position to jump on the BPO or the global business services bandwagon at a higher value, a higher dollar amount per agent, focusing on some of these non-voice skills. Again, healthcare, can't get enough staff. Today, some of the greatest talent gets on planes, nurse. Those very same skill sets we can deliver with digital capability across to the US, to UK, to other markets. And those are much higher value jobs, and frankly, we're keeping families together by keeping them here in Kenya. That's why, again, I tie back to the word BPO, global business services, can be so much more impactful.
The excellent level of English and the availability of skilling and upskilling people. So for us as TP, we had actually executive visit about 3 months ago, and the feedback on them. We, as you said, I run Nigeria, Rwanda. For me, they have all different skill sets. For me, Kenya, high capability, C1 English, C2 English, voice, but we also serve Nordic markets with AI, because you need the English for the AI tool to be working very efficiently. If I then look at Nigeria, very much more tech-based, and Kenya is high volumes, big job creation, and market penetration from a global perspective. For us as TP, we have about 1,500 global clients, and every single one of Kenya.
Thanks. And what you mentioned, Sven, about the other markets where Nigeria is tech-based, we know Yante is doing that over here, and Rwanda, which I know does a lot of...
Sure. So we're Ajax Africa. We're the latest entrant in the market, but we've chosen to go large scale. So the first thing we're able to provide is the quality of service. So we're set up as a world-class facility because we have to serve world-class clients. So we have what is called the 5 nines of SLAs. So we have very high level of uptime. So we've invested into Uganda. So we have very diverse routes for connectivity. And since the last around 18 months when we've been up and running, we already have half a dozen of the key banks with us. We have about 35 telcos with us. In fact, I'm proud to say that our first customer, he's sitting in this row, was actually a BPO. And they've chosen to come with a world-class facility like us to have flexibility, to have neutrality, because as BPO, the buildings grow, they want flexibility so that they're not bound by just having the IT infrastructure in one place, but they put it to a neutral player like us. The other thing is a milestone that we've had is we're really bringing the cloud to Kenya after many years of talk. So we're the first to bring Oracle, to bring the cloud region into Kenya. And thank you. And the great thing is Oracle is going to be hosting the government workloads from central bank, from national treasury. So effectively, we're a living example of a private company, serving government. So we're a government certified data center as well. And then in terms of certifications, so we are We've got PCI DSS compliance. We have ISO 27001 compliance, which is required from these institutions. So that's how we can service this BPO, growing BPO sector. In terms of the growth of our industry, and as you know, there's lots of big excitement, big announcements, and I think that the future is very bright because we only have to compare ourselves to South Africa, which is the largest market in Africa on data centers. They have some like 400 megawatts of deployed capacity. And the next is Nigeria, which for a 200 million population, they have about 40 megawatts. And Kenya, us and our other competitors, including Konza, we're less than 10 megawatts. So we have a lots to catch up. And we hope with people like Oracle putting stake in the ground, with BPOs outsourcing the IT infrastructure to us, that we can see exponential growth. And then last point is on AI. So we're the only facility who is actually hosting AI workloads because they require very dense power, and I'm sure the BPO industry will see some amalgamation between human capital and AI, and with data protection. So we're now able to host. We are ready for BPOs.
Thanks, Sonal. So, from what I hear from the members here, Kenya, we've got the talent. We haven't unpacked regulation a lot, but we'll come back to that. We have got the regulatory support. We've got the government partnership. We've got the physical infrastructure that continues to be built up. And we have the digital infrastructure that's. What does this concretely mean for the sector? Like, how are you engaging your customers in Europe about this already? I know it's not yet passed already, but how would it change the game for you?
No, that's a very good question, and it's initiatives like this. I really applaud them because they bring a lot of trust in Kenya as an IT and BPO destination. When you talk to customers in Europe and you talk to them about developing solutions for them from Kenya, it's a market there because Kenya will be one of the first countries worldwide to be on the same level as Europe when it comes to the standards of IT data protection, which it gives you a leg up compared to all of the other regions, and that is something that's almost there. What I wanted to mention, close to what Sneer was saying about certifications, security certifications, there's actually a very thriving market here that is upcoming in cybersecurity, and that can help with all of these certifications or protections that we need to be able to safely service our customers. So also us, we're finalizing now our ISO 27001. We hope that we should be able to get it this year. So it's not only at the policy level, I think, events, name me anything. And so now it's really just...
That's a great segue to my next question, which is to Mercy. So you've been building here for a while now, right? I want, as Jonte has been talking about, I want to ask you what's next, right? What are the opportunities or the segments within outsourcing that you are most excited about? Outsourcing champions.
Okay, thank you. So one of the places that I see is more in the GBS sector, the more knowledge-based sectors. Already,
it's the middle class management layer that we need to really invest in. We have a number of internal programs, obviously, that we do to set our people up for success, but how do we do it at scale? So whilst I enter the market, where are we going to get our middle management from? We become an ideal destination of choice, right? But I think it's, as a country, where do we really scale that area? Capable individuals who are set up for success to manage that middle layer.
Thank you. And we hear this about middle management a lot. You gave us a good idea of how we can try and fix, with the last mile workforce readiness, it can be done within the curriculums of what's happening in schools. How do you fix the challenges you see at middle management? So, yes.
I think Richard gave a good example, and actually, Kunal, I was talking to your colleagues yesterday on the same, ready for a high volume. We can say, like CCI and Teleperformance, we train our own middle management.
And just to give an example, we came into a requirement just recently to say, by the way, we need some new space. And Moses, are you here? Moses. So, first of all, thank you very much. I'd like to give Moses a round. This gentleman, I'd say it's even under less than 3 hours. He just happened to be visiting to stop by for a cup of coffee. And 13 years ago, he was there at the opening. I expressed that, by the way, we're having some challenges on what we're thinking next. And he located a 6,000 square meter shop for us, and that is the expansion that we had. So when you say one-stop shop, my conversion of that is Moses. But it's not just one time. It's you have many issues over 13 years of challenges, and we've been on that journey and really excited to be here. But I'd say it's the people. It's not only the special economic zone assistance, but just level of detail. Getting people in and out when it was accessible, making sure that we could hurdle whatever gaps there were. I'd like to just take it a step back just 1 second. We're probably in one of the most challenging times of shifting sands, as we all know, whether that's because of politics or because of AI. I'd like to point out that this situation that Kenya is in at this moment of where it's got this entry point or getting certain traction in the BPO is probably one of the most opportunistic times, because I think one of the questions is, what are we presenting to global investors, global locators, whatever the name is, people that are looking to place their trust in a country? Resiliency, predictability, relationship. Those are the things that, I was very fortunate to start out in the Philippines early on in the industry to see it go from about 200 million to now 34 billion. I wish we were all of that 34 billion, but we were part of that journey. So I know what can happen very quickly if the pieces are put in place. So again, resiliency, I think, is built into the Kenyan culture. Predictability, I think, in partnering with the association that's being set up, that people are starting to cooperate, and that working with government to come up with more sort of predictability that we can communicate to the global market will probably give us more work than we can consider, and that's where I keep pushing back. We need to also focus on higher value per person early on in this game, so that we actually, let's send the work that's a lower value maybe to other locations while we focus on that higher value, because that's where the market's going with AI. Thank you.
Thank you, James. Secretary Mary, I did not leave you for last. I know how amazing you're at synthesizing discussions. What are the top 3 policy, talent, infrastructure interventions that are being prioritized within the ministry, either in flight or on top of what you obviously spoke about, but what are we going to take away from here? What are we going to double down on to help attract more BPO and digital services investment?
Yeah, thank you so much. The top 3 priorities for government. One is the digital infrastructure and work-ready ecosystem. And basically is to improve on connectivity, expand and make it more affordable. Issues to do with data centers, because there's the era of AI, we need to be compute ready. And I love what you're doing around data centers. We have our Konza, Technopolis, that is really trying to be ready with the data centers. Of course, issues to do with the BPO ready zones and smart hubs, and I've already said you don't have to be in the special economic zones. We want to zone your area, wherever it is, even if it is your house, as long as you're meeting the guidelines. So for me, really, it's about, around infrastructure, it's about reliability, it's about affordability, and it's about scalability. And it is to build an environment that is ready for plug and play for the investors. The other second priority would be around talent and skilling. Unskilling and reskilling, because we need to match the industry. And Richard talked about we are not yet agile enough, even in our universities. We're still giving degrees the old way. We need to be agile. We need to work with the universities to change the curriculum so that it is demand driven vis-a-vis just training for the sake of it. One person, an AI company, challenged me, do we really still need degrees? Or do we need skilled talent? So therefore, it's a question that we need to ask ourselves, whether degrees are still relevant today for the industry. So basically, that's what we are saying, and we need to align ourselves to what the industry is saying. We need to put our ears down and listen. And really, it's about moving from generic training to demand-driven skills pipelines. And that is the only way we can match the demand by the BPO sector. Lastly, but not least, is about policy and regulatory framework. And my narrative has changed, that we need progressive policies and guidelines, agile to the industry. Because you find that where we are coming from, we enacted policies 5 years ago, 10 years ago, guidelines, laws. Are they thriving? Are they making the digital economy to thrive? No. So therefore, even as we are setting policies today, we need to be agile enough to change it even 2 months later. Because technology, the ecosystem is changing. So therefore, for me, that is a priority for government. Having a discourse with the industry, what works. Many times we close ourselves in our offices and come up with policies. But when the industry looks at them, they're like, really?
Believable. So it's the perception versus the reality. And I think we need to do a much better job of obviously articulating and telling the story about Kenya a lot better. I think events like this are fantastic, really well put together, some great content, but how do we get that content out there? Because I think it's really relevant. And as Sven says, our time is now in terms of Kenya.
No, Rishi, how do we get that out there?
Yeah.
Sven can answer that point.
For me, I think we had the European event last week, and I think a key important point here is as well, we have ambassadors here, we have representatives of the European Union here, and one of my comments was, I see still Kenya is on an orange notice, and for me it is quite surprising, and I don't know how. I'm not part of that ecosystem, but it is nation of a Nairobi city center, of a security aspect. So that is something with ambassadors and regulators we really need to see, because any client that will explore coming to Kenya will go to the foreign policy for department and check coming to Kenya, will go to the foreign policy for department and check and say, that doesn't look safe. Yeah? And that is then where Richie and my battle starts, going to make videos and showing presentations. We don't have giraffes in our garden, or you don't get eaten by a lion on...
I know, Snehar, we can go through. Snehar, you wanted to say something, and we'll have...
We've made is because, as Mary said, in terms of pragmatic regulation. But the first thing I would say is, we need to make sure that we're walking. Groundbreakings have you done, and what's happened to that? So we need to make sure that, as Kenya, we save our credibility by walking the talk. So that's the first thing. Second is on regulation, and I'm talking from the data center industry. We're currently going through something where the telecoms regulator is trying to regulate our sector, and our sector can be confused that it is to do with connectivity. We're actually we're
part of the partnerships. So therefore, I think we need to speak more. We need to go out there more and package ourselves the right way, and change the narrative. And of course, we are saying we cannot do it alone. We are engaging the development partners to position Kenya in the right way. Participating in the investment forums outside the country has been a priority for us. And we have a whole schedule of visiting out there, carry our companies together with us to pitch the narrative. So I think we've started. I think with the small strides, I know we're going to make big ones And we can only do that if we partner, collaborate, and speak with the one language. So government is open. Please, let's have these forums so that we move from rooms to the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. And obviously, with the partnerships, you also mean the industry, right, and the associations which are here, because this is the real practitioners on the ground. Everybody has committed to things over here, so it's great for me. I'm going to, at the end of this, summarize what everyone put their hand up for, and this will be the next steps we go with. Mr. Musau told me that over time, and we need the questions from the audience. I told him that, we started late because the other event went over. But let's get to the questions. What are your questions? What do you want to ask from our brilliant panel? I hope there's someone with a mic who can go around. Go there.
Hello. Good evening. My name is Dharmendra Jain. I'm the founder of a Kenyan AI company called Actionable AI. Fantastic conversations. It is already very clear that AI is transforming across industries. So BPO and call center is not the exception. And there is also a lot of speculation, a little bit anxiety around how AI is going to transform. We have agentic AI coming up, which perhaps impact multiple level of jobs, particularly entry level. So my question is twofold. First, as an industry, how you guys are preparing for this new wave or transformational wave? And the second one, what are the areas you think that AI will augment the BPO industry? Thank you.
Who wants to take that?
I think we already touched on the impact of AI, so we're already feeling it, but I think we're feeling it in a positive way because agents no longer want to handle the mundane type queries. Where we're seeing a lot of benefit in AI at the minute is what we call agent assist. So for example, we work with a number of airlines, right? You get a number of cancellations, the ability of the AI engine in the background to calculate multiple options for the customer in real time to ultimately improve the experience for the customer at the end of the day, right? I think where AI needs to get to is when it starts understanding the information it's regurgitating at the minute, because it's just an information generating channel at the minute, right? Where I sit. We were first told AI is replacing humans, then we're told about agentic AI, so I'm waiting for the next sexy name to come out after that, where it's going to show you're taking up 60% of human work and so on. But I think there is space for both in the industry, as I was saying. So there is space for humans when the discussions are more emotive, when they're more emotional, and you require that element to it. But I also think there's a real need for AI, where, again, when it comes to enhancing the customer's experience, ultimately, it's already there. But going back to your last question, there's enough volume going around of voice calls for a long time still, yeah?
Yeah, can I just add to that? Yeah, I think AI has been with us for the last 10 years, and people forget that. I think we have chatbots going for quite some time. It is just an improvement. I think the industry evolves. Will it take away jobs? I don't see it happening. What I do see is that it will improve jobs, it will improve job quality, it will improve employer experience, but it will also create more opportunities. And I think I said before, we have a very strong labor force with a very strong English capability. We are serving whole of Europe over AI from Kenya. Yeah, so that is a capability that wasn't there before. So I see that being a very strong point. And it is about AI and EI, emotional intelligence. I think in Europe, the law is coming through that the right to speak to a human. Yeah. So actually, that will become true that people have the choice to make to have the chance to make the choice to either speak to AI or to speak to a human being.
And just one other point I'll add is just on data analytics and insights, AI has been hugely valuable for us because today, when you talk about a BPO, a client is not coming to us just to manage their different touch points. It's coming to us to get better insights, better analytics, tell us what's going on in our operations. I think AI has been a really real benefit from that aspect. Yeah.
Maybe a quick one from Secretary Mary.
Yes. I think AI is here, and we cannot run away from it. We cannot put fear in front. We are going to embrace AI for our good. And what I usually say, there is nothing artificial about the intelligence. So I usually change the narrative to amplified intelligence. So AI is it's coming to make us better. It is coming to make us more efficient. What you could do in 10 hours, AI can help you to do it in 1 hour. And it doesn't mean it has replaced you. You have your position, AI has its position. And therefore, in fact, you should not fear about AI, that AI will replace your job. You should fear the person who is using AI, because that is the person who will replace you. So, like for government, we are ready to embrace AI. Thank you.
And just one last one, and then we'll go back to the questions.
Yeah, sorry for that, but I do have something I want to contribute, because from an IT perspective, what we're also seeing is an enormous wave on new demand that very little people can actually service, because very little people have already figured out how to use these AI tools, how to explain to companies how to adopt them. A very big issue, for example, now we have the cloud cowork and the cloud bot, which are sort of bringing this real AI assistant almost, personal assistant that learns about you, that can do skills that you can then scale across an organization. I think we have an enormous opportunity also to put Kenya there on the map. I think it was already presented, we're one of the highest percentage of ChatGPT users, so people are talking to these things every day, and you need to learn. It's something that a skill, especially if you have a technical background, you learn how to talk to it quite fast, but you need to put in the time to understand how these systems work. And I think given the enormous demand that's now coming and that we're feeling in European companies, I need AI, because everyone is telling them they need AI and they're also feeling it. How do I get AI? I think that's something where we can really position ourselves as someone who has the answer.
Amazing. More questions from the audience. See, there's a hand at the back, and we can come back in the front.
Thank you. My name is Peggy from Gatsby Africa. My question is to the operators. If there was a real BPO global buyer in the room today, what would make them sign a deal with you before they left this conference, and what is really, really stopping them?
Okay. What would make somebody sign a deal? I'm sure it's not my profile. People come and they're looking for capability. They're looking for a trusted partner. Whatever part of their business that they're exposing, they have requirements. They have their service levels, and they're trying to work with a trusted partner that's going to bring them not only cost-effective solutions, but not headaches. So I think they're looking for mature providers, a location that makes sense, the capability that currently exists in Kenya. I personally believe it has always existed here. We as an industry are just putting a framework around that capability and trying to deliver it in a more consumable way to the world. And I think we can improve upon that, again, with the government, with associations, and probably by communicating it a bit better. Thank you.
Can I add to that? Sorry. So I think, just to answer that question, if that possible client is in this room here now, it's already sold. Kenya sells itself, okay? I think once we can get the clients here, and I think, Richie, you will, if we get the clients here and we can sit down with them and show the Kenyan capability, the infrastructure, everything that we have, it is done.
Is your response? Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with Sven. I find that when people land, they may come in, as we say it, on a cost basis. But when you speak through and you can demonstrate, you know what you're talking about. With the smaller players, the other thing they're looking for is flexibility. And we are able to do smaller tests. So there's a lot that we can offer that makes the buyer sign on with us. Yeah.
Thank you. There's a question from the front. Before that, I'll also respectfully invite Ambassador Demo. If there's any questions that you have, because we're counting on you to take this brand Kenya out to the countries as ambassadors and market us as a BPO destination. So we'd love to hear any questions from you, but I know there's one behind you for now.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so my name is Hari. I BPO operator as well. Having worked with, am I audible now? Yes, thank you. Yeah, so my name is Harry, and BPO leadership for a very long time. I worked with CCI, I've worked with Summer, and right now I'm leading a company called Appraise Global. My question is for the government. I know you touched a lot about what you're doing to improve the infrastructure, to improve the ease of doing the business. But I want to put you, Madam Mary, in a spotlight, Kidogo, and the rest of the BPOs that are here. Yeah, we hear that the government is the biggest procurement. Countries like India, India specifically, has grown their inbound BPO, has grown their BPO through the government giving them outsourcing the services. I know you've done an excellent job through the e-citizen, and also you've done an excellent job through the offering of services to the government, but we know the clients are many. We have 26 million people that depend on the government for services, and we know that this can really grow our BPO industry so that we don't wait for Teleperformance to come and set up here. I know some of the companies like Adept have done some government work before. We've seen DDD do some judiciary data work before. Why are we not seeing the government giving the work to the local BPOs? Why are we not seeing the BPOs here pushing and trying to seek for work from the government? So it's not a spotlight for you, Madam Mary, but it's a question for all of us. Yeah, because I think that would definitely grow the industry, give the confidence, even for the global players that want to set up. And yeah, that's my question. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I think we are of the same mindset. Government has given a deep thought of being an outsourcing, where we can outsource our services and watch the news. It is coming. Because government has gotten funding from the World Bank, and we are automating and digitizing the more than 5 billion records that we have. And we are planning not to do it ourselves. We are planning to outsource to our BPOs, to any private sector who is capable to do that. So it is coming. We were looking for funds. Funds are here, and I know there are other development partners who are also bringing funding. Government will not do that. So what you saw in judiciary is coming tenfold. Be ready, be prepared. Thank you.
Be ready. One more response from the group, and then we can go back to the questions.
Yeah, I just wanted to add on one or 2 points. I know we've got a few AI people here, and I think I was at a recent few conclaves, and the recurring theme was coming out in terms of what do companies want out of AI. And what we left the room feeling was that from a customer perspective or a human being, we want it to be invisible but omnipresent, right? And I think that's where a lot of AI companies need to sometimes change their mindset, that they think it shouldn't be invisible, but at the same time be omnipresent. Actually, it wants to be invisible, but should be omnipresent. So I think that's where you need to look at. Answering Peggy's question, customers today don't have patience. Clients don't have patience. So I think where we also need to change a little bit of the narrative, and one thing I'm really happy about is that any customer that comes to see us in Kenya has never left without closing a deal. I've had some prospects in this morning, so fingers crossed it's going well. But it's how we showcase it. So this idea of first selling ourselves as Africa, as Kenya, saying we want aid, right? I'm not here for aid, I'm here for trade, right? And my people are not here because they want someone to sympathize with them. They want to be chosen because they're the best at what they do, and it just so happens at the same time you really happen to uplift their life. But I think it's really, really important we showcase it for the right reasons and our talent, and we stop going down this aid route and we make it about trade and make it about our abilities, right?
Thanks, Rishi. 1 or 2 more questions from the audience before we close, and then I'm sure there'll be time after as well to engage. I'll take one from the back. Ambassador's ready. Maybe we'll start with then, and I'll come to you at the back. Okay. Thank you. Sorry for putting you on the spot.
Thank you so much for asking me to speak. I would say that this is a dream come true. because when we started, there was no fiber optic, there were no networks, there was nothing. But what I want to emphasize is that just this week, just for your knowledge, that there is no week that passes that I don't talk about the history of Kenya's ICT development. On Monday, the national the Readiness Index, is a global organization, asked me to say what we did to have changed the country this much. And why they were asking is because Kenya is an outlier on several indices. So what they are saying here actually is confirmed by that research. I can actually share with it so that you begin to understand that we are ready for what we worked for several years. And what we can only, I don't have a question for you, by the way. I just say thank you. Thank you for what you're doing here. And she was my chair for some time. And I know that when she comes to talk to you, she's very serious. And thank you for what you're doing. These facilities, we were dreaming that one day we would have such a thing. He was a baby when we started, and the other one here. I actually used to go at night, very late at night, to see what is happening with the BPO. And that time, we were using satellite. And 1 meg, 3,000 US dollars. And they were asking, please, it's infrastructure. We have the infrastructure, we have the young people, the policies in place, and now we need to take Kenya to the next level. Thank you so much for realizing the thing.
I'll take one last question from the back, and then we can summarize.
Good afternoon. My name is Eugene Otieno, Gen Z, first of all. And then also I'm a junior developer at Binary Stack Solutions. It's a startup. And currently the president at Strathmore University. So I have two questions. The way the digital economy, I can attest that we have an innovation hub in Strathmore University. Can we have university agents to give us an all-rounded student in our universities, the way we have innovation hubs? Can we have hubs for our companies in our university? Secondly, as a Gen Z, put yourself as a Gen Z, what skills or strategies will you recommend for us to develop to have an edge over others in the future? And is the future ripe for our generation? Thank you.
Auntie, you want to take any of that?
Yeah, I'm a developer myself, so I can maybe take the first answer, and I'll answer the second question about what skills would I focus on if I was now, I'm still quite young, but 15 years younger, I guess. And I think one of the key skills I always recommend, because we work a lot with juniors, we have an apprenticeship program, we try to bring in as many as we can in that first job experience and then scale them. And it goes rather quickly, to be honest. Focus still on fundamentals. I think one of the things that we try to often do, especially now with AI, is jump the hoop and immediately start building very complex systems without really understanding what is being built. And so you're in a bit of a time where we're not yet be able to trust these systems to just build themselves. I don't think so. But it's rather easy now to build something. What I always advise is just take a step back, try to understand what is this thing doing, how would I do it? First do it without maybe, and then use the tools to accelerate yourself. So instead of jumping into these tools and immediately starting building things that then eventually go wrong, focus on understanding the fundamentals, and then these things will superpower you, because that's where your job is going. You're going to enter the market, you're immediately going to be working with agentic coding, at least that's what we do. at that point, you really need to have your fundamentals straight, or it's like you put on a jetpack and you can fly easily into the bush if you don't know where you're going. But if you know where you're going up very high.
Let me also share. So the other thing I would say is stay curious. Especially, a lot of the businesses will be, especially if you get absorbed in a small or medium business, you might find that you're the first tech person in the business. So you have opportunity to grow without the founder necessarily having the instruction bandwidth to guide you. And I think in terms of the SME business, it is growing in Kenya, that those are likely to be your first jobs. And so stay curious enough to grow with little guidance from a tech perspective. Yeah.
I'll take Snehar and then James.
Maybe just to say, so I've worked a lot with Gen Z. So in my previous life, I was running Moringa School, where Dr. Ndemo was a big ambassador for Moringa School. So, and just talking about our education system here, yes, we have good English, etc. But if we're, competing on the global stage, and actually Moringa has been set up as a digital skilling organization, which is, another alternative to going to university. But the ironic thing is we've trained about 20,000 students now. We're the market leader here. But half our intake are actually university graduates who can't get jobs, but they come to Moringa. And so we run like a 5-month program, so 20 weeks. Out of the 20 weeks, we spend at least 1 month, which is 4 weeks, not on all these funky data and software engineering and AI skills, but actually on soft skills. And that is so important. We need to make sure, and we have all the capabilities, all the potential to make sure that apart from sort of the hard skills and the academics, we're really able to communicate well, we're able to present well, we're able to influence well, and we provided a lot of our graduates to Yente's company, to Rish's company, and some of the things that also CCI is doing with Career Box. I think, if we have that, and that ingrained not only at university, but right from our early childhood level, then we can really go places.
James?
I can hopefully only summarize this. So as probably one of the only boomers here, up here. It's those soft skills. Working with the government to come up with an enrollment to employment program, it's dramatically different than even what it was 10 years ago, 5 years ago. Coming up with that upskilling into technology. I wanted to touch on just, everyone's talking about AI. Let me just speak about AI in the non-voice space. What we're seeing is the models are being turned upside down, and more the industry's going to outcome-based, which means, what is that pricing model? How are you doing it? What we're seeing is two particular channels. One is technology is turbocharging the professional, whatever that is, an accountant, a nurse, in which they need to do more with a whole lot less time and deliver more value. Or they're running in parallel with their own technology and a piece of technology doing certain work. So this is where we really believe that that type of skill set and training and understanding that is the environment that your generation is stepping into, and whether that's you're stepping into a brand new industry of an SME and that you're leading the way, or you're bringing it to a larger organization who maybe needs to step up faster. I think that's the training that we need to bridge in this level up. Thank you.
I'd also add on that while you have the university degree, work on your communication skills, both written, it's just a general topic, both written and actual speaking side of things. Understand workplace behaviors, organization behaviors, because again, you haven't had that exposure, right? Things like financial literacy, I think are really important for the younger generation. So where to invest your money, how to save your money. Hopefully you invest in a house before you buy that car, which is what I see happening a lot here. The car first, then the house, if there is a house. So things like that are really, really important. And obviously surround yourself with mentors that can obviously guide you on that journey.
I think with that we could close. Ladies and gentlemen, a huge round of applause for our, okay.
Thank you. Sorry for cutting you, but I think Eugene asked something on the BPO companies willing to set hubs in the universities. I'll say that this is happening, and I'll call upon all the BPOs. If you go to Dendan Kimathi, they have partnered with Tier 3 BPOs, and they have set up hubs in the universities, and they are tapping on the students who are supposed to go out for internships. So they give internships within those hubs, so that instead of the students going out there, they utilize them during the 3 months to train them on job. And then after that, they're able to consume them in the BPO setup. So I think it's a call to all the companies. Please partner with us as government and the universities to spread this, because like CCI, you might not train all the people in your, what do you call that training? Career box. But if you utilize the university hubs, utilize the government hubs, we are coming up with a framework. For now, we can outsource the hubs to you and use them the way you want. Because the hubs are already equipped, they have connectivity, it's just you to bring in the curriculum and get out the people to your companies. So I think it's a call between us, the university, the government, and the BPO sector players. Thank you.
Excellent, thank you.
Last one. So just to add on to what Madam Mary is saying, we are actually already in partnership with certain universities. Our landlord boss is the chancellor of university, and the conversations have started, but I think it's a very good initiative. Thank you for the question.
Excellent, thank you. Thank you again to our panel. What I'll end with is with 6 quick takeaways from this conversation. There's a lot of things that were said. For me, it's all about next steps and how do we take this forward. There is Invest Kenya here. There is the associations, BPOK, OAK. There's the industry players. There's the partners. So together, what are we going to take forward? I noted down 6 things. 1, training curriculum. Madam Secretary, Sven and Rishi both opened up to partner on this. I think, James, you mentioned something of that sort as well, enrollment to employment. How can we get that collaboration going? And then you can also explore that. How does that go beyond with hubs at a university and government level? That's 1. Number 2 is getting things moving. Sven, you talked about this. The BPO designated spots, the spot designations. I saw everyone, John was jumping out of his chair when he heard that. So how do we get that, how do you get that off flight, how do you get that running, and how do we start to see BPOs actually applying for this? That's number 2. Number 3 for me is the regulatory and policy framework discourse. We know that the BPO policy is currently in draft. It's moving forward quickly. Let's make sure that agility you spoke about, Madam Secretary, is being brought in over here, and we're speaking with the industry to shape it. The ambassadors in the room, truly you could be ambassadors of our country, of Brand Kenya. We have obviously the great material from Invest Kenya, from the associations about what this sector can be. We have all the connections with the industry. Let's take this out there to the countries that where you're representing Kenya, and try to get in some of the big offtake deals for us. Number 5 is on marketing, and this is quite important. We spent a bit of our panel at the end speaking about this. Obviously, the associations want to do it. Invest Kenya wants to do it. The ministry wants to do it. Let's do it in a coordinated way, right? Let's all come together. And Madam Secretary, you said you're looking after the Directorate of Partnerships. I will point them to you. And finally, the 6th point was around outsourcing of government services. This is coming. We know that development partner funding is behind this. Let's get this moving such that it creates real offtake opportunities within the country as well. So those are my 6. Apologies if I've missed anything. But thank you for staying back, and thank you for listening to us. Mr. Massa, I know you want to close. Thank you.
Yeah. Sorry, everybody, distinguished Sorry. Okay. Wow, that was excellent. That was excellent. Thank you so much, distinguished speakers and panelists. We are very proud of you. It is one of the most excellent knowledge impacting investor conference side event I've attended of late. And on that note, I just want to urge your indulgence for 5 minutes. We have the CEO, Konza, Mr. Paul Okwiri, to give us the vote of thanks and closing remarks. Mr. Okwiri, of course, is led in technological transformation of the current Konza Tech City. Mr. Okwiri, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Good evening once again. It's a privilege to speak after that powerful panel discussion made up of our partners and also our support system. And it's also a privilege to stand before you as Konza Technopolis and in the presence of the visionary behind Konza Technopolis, Ambassador Bitange Ndembo. Let's give him a round of applause. Actually, it is for him that we are in this room, because when he was in position that we are in today, he was able to visualize that Kenya needed to be the BPO hub. And today, based on what has happened and in the infrastructure that has been put in place, we can be proud to stand here and say we are having a panel discussion and a side event in the conference where investors are invited and are involved, and proud to say that we have moved steps from when the visionary himself saw it and where we are today. And therefore, as I make the closing remarks, we are really happy to have you. And as Konza Technopolis, we want to support, we want to partner, we want to collaborate. We want to make this possible. And that's why, as Konza Technopolis, we have laid the necessary infrastructure that was master planned by the visionary, and we've been able to put in all the infrastructure that is needed. A national data center, currently operational, a university focusing on STEM, a creative environment, an innovation ecosystem, a platform that is ready to support all investment opportunities, making Kenya be the hub of business processing outsourcing. And we are really proud to be here today. Therefore, as we conclude, as Konza Technopolis, we are spearheading, as has been mentioned by Secretary, e-government, that government is focusing on enabling, providing the enabling infrastructure through the digital superhighway, which is focusing on providing internet connectivity, 100,000 kilometers of internet connectivity, so that we can enable business process outsourcing and make Kenya be the hub that is supposed to be. A lot has been said about the talent. Yes, the talent is there, but then how do we now actualize that talent to achieve what it's supposed to achieve? That includes ensuring that the internet connectivity is spread across the country. We are developing digital hubs, and I think that has come out very clearly from the partners that we, as much as we have graduates and people with degrees, we still need to skill. And therefore, the digital hubs that we are establishing, the 1450 digital hubs that we are establishing, will be the ground for training, so that the BPOs can train and get their talent raw and equip them with skills, so that as they leave, they're able to get the right talent into the BPO space. And therefore, I really want to say thank you. Thank you very much. Konza Technopolis is open to be the hub. We are ready. We've created the space, and we want to work together with all of us in this room and many others to make sure that we actualize. And what the Secretary said is that we now no longer need to have a zone that is a BPO zone. We are focusing on enabling all of us to have any space that is available to be the BPO space. And therefore, Konza Technopolis, we want to champion that. We want to be known as the hub that brought all the stakeholders, players together. And therefore, we are the government arm that will enable this to happen. Thank you very much, and see you again.
Yeah, okay. Actually, the CEO Konza, I closed the session, but as Investor Kenya, I'll say this, we'll continue to be there for advocacy and for facilitation issues. And if you are here and you're an investor, you came, please see me, we want you to invest. Thank you so much, and the session is closed.